Hey there, welcome back to The Simple Truth with Stuart. Ever wondered what the secret formula is to living your best life? Today, we're decoding the Be Do Have blueprint. This episode is your personal roadmap to creating a life filled with purpose, passion, and abundance. We'll explore how to cultivate the mindset of being, taking inspired action, and attract the life you truly desire. Get ready to unlock your full potential and design your dream life. Let's dive in. Today is going to be something slightly different. And what I mean by slightly different is I'm going to be sharing with you a blueprint that you may have heard, a blueprint that maybe you've even implemented into your life. And it's something that many coaches, even some of the top coaches in the world, use this little formula when they are doing their coaching programs, working with individuals, and it's something that's extremely powerful. And that's why I want to share this with you. What am I talking about? Well, it's three key words: be, do, have. And really, those three words, if you understand them and you know how to implement it into your personal and professional life, you can actually create a blueprint for the best life that you want to have by design. So that's what we're going to be talking about in today's session, is this little model called the Be Do Have model. Now, to give you an understanding of what that is and what that's actually about, the Be Do Have actually falls into your, what I like to call your attitude. And your attitude is something that you can have. You can either have a good attitude or a bad attitude, but that's very, very generic. And how do we change somebody from a bad attitude to a good attitude? Well, as a child, it would have been with a bit of corporal punishment, which is not required now. Why? Because we understand that attitude is a way of life. And once you understand where you are, you can actually make some very positive changes in a positive way. Now, what are the attitudes? Instead of just being good and bad, what are the different attitudes that you have? Well, within this particular coaching model, the Be Do Have, there are actually three attitudes that we make reference to. And ultimately, when we understand those particular attitudes and where we fit, then we can actually work the tools to get us to the attitude that we want to have to. So, what are those three attitudes? Well, the first one is the attitude, what we refer to as the victim. And that is something which, unfortunately, so many of us fall into. And one thing you must remember with an attitude is the morning you could have one type of attitude, in the afternoon you could have a different type of attitude, because that's how life goes. So it's not something that's stuck with you for eternity. It is something that does change throughout the day. So the very first one is a victim. The second one is what we refer to as the worker. And the last one is the winner. And we all want to be the winner, because ultimately being the winner is the person that really lives their life to the extreme. They just seem to have it all. And when we start working with percentages, there's very few people that actually live in that attitude, being the winner. Now, how do we actually define this? Well, you can actually take a piece of paper and it works on this particular formula. So if you fall into the category of a victim, ultimately what happens is the Be Do Have model, you actually change those words around, and the victim, their phrases is have, do, be. Now, how does that actually work? Well, the victim says this: I have to have more time and money before I can do X, Y, and Z, which will then allow me to be who I want to be. So they always start with the have. Now, if you're doing this in your life and we say, oh, I have to have more time, I have to have more money before I can actually do this particular activity, bang, there you're falling into that victim attitude. And I'm hoping by just sharing that with you, you're going to go, hey, wait a minute, I need to get out of it. Now, the second is the worker. And the worker works in this sequence: do, have, and then be. So the worker is a person that says, well, I am going to do this activity so that I can have more time and money, which will allow me to be the person that I want to be. Now, one of the problems that I see as a coach when I'm working with someone and they are talking that language, I need to do this so that I can have more time and money. Ultimately, there is a very, very powerful truth that lies in that. Time and money, well, that is something that is endless. And when you have it, it can be taken away from you very quickly because time just carries on. Money comes into your account and it gets spent. So if you're consistently doing the activities to have more time and money, ultimately what's going to happen is you're going to burn out. And by burning out is when you then fall into the victim category and that have that attitude. So what you need to do is you need to look at it and go, if I'm consistently every single day saying, I need to do this so I can have more time and money, just be cautious that you could get to a point of burnout. And that's not what you want to do, because you'll then fall into that victim category where you're just going to say, I need to have more time and money so that I can actually do those particular activities again. Now, the winner is the category that we all want to fall part of. And that falls into the correct sequence. It's the be, do, have. Now, why is it like that? Well, the be is you. You need to believe in yourself. You need to be that person all the time. So if you're looking to be a successful person, well, believe in yourself to say, hey, I am that successful person. I am the person that's doing that, because as that individual, I will then be able to do those activities. And when I'm doing those activities, the very last part of it is, well, then I'm going to have more time and more money. But it's the key part of being and believing in yourself, because that starts to open up so many more opportunities of growth for you. You won't feel that burnout because you know who you are, and you'll be able to choose the direction of what is the activity that I would like to do so that I can have more time and money. And in fact, when we start looking at winners, they're actually not looking for more time or money. They're actually starting to look for a life by design. And you'll actually hear the conversation is very, very different. So this was just giving you a very high level of the be, do, have, and those three different attitudes. Now, I want to go into each one of these and really dig into it, because it's all very well at a high level. I understand that we've got these three different attitudes, but if I want to now focus on the be category, what do I have to do? Well, the B, it's all about cultivating that inner world. It's cultivating the person that you are. And in order to do that, you need to start identifying your self-worth. And by doing that, you need to make yourself aware of where you are right now. And it's going to start bringing a very strong identity, or not bringing, building a very strong identity. You see, for a lot of my clients, when I ask them the question, who are you? I actually get quite a long pause. And then when the answer comes back to me, it's quite convoluted and quite confusing. I actually, at the end of it, have more questions than clarity. So the B is you've got to know who you are and start to get that self-awareness. The second part of it is making sure that you've got that growth mindset. You always want to learn something new. You want to be able to expand your knowledge and your skills so that your level of mastery can just rise day on day, week on week, and month on month. So it's so important to have that growth mindset, to be learning on an ongoing basis. The next part is really your emotional intelligence. You You see, what you want to be able to do is you want to be able to handle and manage your emotions. So too often, we do have bad days. We're humans, by the way. I don't know if any of you are robots, but I can see that you are all humans. And what's so important about humans is anything can actually affect your emotions. It's basically on a roller coaster ride all of the time. And when your emotions are at an extreme high, you need to learn how to manage them, how to bring it down. When your emotions are at an extreme low, being able to manage them and bring them up so that you've got that balance of your emotions. And it's about managing that emotional intelligence of yourself. And the last part of the being cultivating that inner world is your values and really understanding what your values are. What is it that guides you in your decisions and your actions when you're actually moving forward into doing anything? So you'll see that building that identity and cultivating that inner world is so, so important. When somebody asks you that question, who are you? And you've got a long pause and you have to explain and answer more questions, it's then when you actually say, hey, wait a minute, let me take one step back and let me try and discover myself. Let me try and get that identity so that when somebody asks me that question, it's actually very straightforward. They have clarity and they go, oh, wow, okay, I know who you are. Because now you can start leading yourself towards that winner attitude because you can start with be and believing in yourself to start going forward. Now, once you've got that identity and that inner world is quite strong, you move on to the do. And the do is basically it's taking actions towards your goals. And it is so, so important that the actions that you're taking every single day, they are moving you closer to your goals and not further away. There are certain actions which are referred to as distractions. So they're not really getting you closer to your goal. They're actually moving you in the opposite direction. So how do we actually make sure that the actions that we take are moving us towards our goals? Well, again, clarity comes back into this because you need to make sure that you've got a goal. You need to make sure that you've got a lighthouse that's giving you that guidance so that you've got that direction. If you don't have that, you could be just going in any particular direction. Now, I've worked with many, many clients, and when I ask them the question, and again, I say, so tell me about your goals. I get a long pause. The answer that comes back to me, I've got to give more questions. There's very little clarity behind that. So you'll see that there's a common theme through all of this. If you don't know who you are, and if you don't know the goals that you're going towards, you can see how you're going to start going into that victim level. So the do's, taking those goals, make sure that you've got the clarity. We know that we can use acronyms like the SMART acronym, making sure that it's specific, it's measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bound, so that you can actually see that particular goal. With a lot of my clients, I always suggest when you're writing a goal or have that goal, write it down, describe the goal, and then ask yourself the question, why is that goal so important? Because that's going to help you to gain further clarity in achieving that particular goal. And that it's not just a goal that, hey, you saw on the television or someone spoke to you about it. The second is once you're getting into that point where you know the activities that needs to happen and you know exactly where you're going, you need to start creating a habit of doing positive actions. And positive actions are actions that move you closer to your goals. So getting into that habit of doing those positive actions, really, it starts to become almost second nature to you. You'll wake up in the morning, you'll know that at this particular time, this is what I need to do. And at this particular time, that is what I need to do. And each of those activities on a subconscious level, you know that it's already moving you closer to your goal, and that becomes that habit. It becomes autonomous in your particular life. And one thing with creating habits is you've got to make sure that you can manage your time. There are times where there's so many activities we need to do. And ultimately, all of those activities will get us closer to the goal. However, because we've got so many activities, it actually becomes a distraction because we don't know where to start. And then a little word pops in called procrastination. And then ultimately, we don't do any of them. Now, we need to put those particular actions in an order of priority. We need to make sure that they're time managed. If it's an activity that you know that's going to take you an hour, well, schedule an hour, maybe even schedule an hour and a half, just in case you go over that hour. Make sure that you're managing your time so that you can, and I refer to it as breathe, and actually focus on that activity to get you closer to that goal. And something amazing is going to happen when you start to focus on that goal and it becomes habitual, where it's just naturally happening every single day. That original goal that you'd actually set yourself out to, you suddenly achieve it. And then you suddenly wake up one day and you go, oh, I've actually done it already. And you've got to be aware of that, because you're going to be achieving those goals at quite a rapid pace, that you need to make sure that you're actually setting up that 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, someday type of goal. You need to make sure that you've got not just a goal of what you want to achieve this week and in the quarter, but you need to also make sure that you have those goals that go into the future and you're reflecting back on them. So the do is all about actions, and it's about getting you closer to those goals. Now, have, and this is where in the victim mindset as well as the worker mindset, the have is about having more time and money. But in the winner mindset, the have is about creating a desired lifestyle. You can see it's very different. Time and money is a given. Everybody needs it. Everybody wants more of it. But the winner doesn't focus on that. They focus on creating that desired lifestyle. And that's the have part of it. Now, what is that desired lifestyle? Well, there's a couple of key pointers here. One is financial freedom. And financial freedom is something that we all want. But what you need to do is you need to understand, what is financial freedom for you? Is it something that you have X amount of money in the bank? Is it something that you've got X amount of assets, stocks, or anything of that nature? And in order to do that, you've got to do planning, you've got to do budgets. So you have to have a very clear understanding of your financial status. The second is your health and wellness. And it's so important to make sure that your body as well as your mind is in the strongest possible manner. Having a desired lifestyle is saying, hey, I'd like to actually do this particular activity. If your body is in a weak, or maybe it's not actually feeling too well, you're not going to be able to do that. So you need to be aware of that balance in both your body as well as your mind at the side all the time. The third one is relationships within that environment, because do you really want to have a desired lifestyle by yourself? Do you want to experience everything alone? What we find is we want to share our lifestyle with the people around us. And that is about having those very strong relationships that you can share that lifestyle, share that experience, because that actually starts to generate more energy within you. And also with it is make sure that you've got an extremely strong supportive network. And the supportive network is, well, hey, I've said to it, you are a human. There are things that happen outside of our control, and that could knock your emotions right down, which can affect your health. Without that supportive network to try and help you pick you back up again, you could remain in that state for a long period of time. So making sure that relationships is so, so important. And you'll always find that people that are living that desired lifestyle just seem to have that circle around them of positive energy of individuals. And you want that as well. And then finally, you want to live your life with purpose. You don't want to wake up in the morning and just be in autopilot mode. You want to be doing life with purpose. And that's why when I said to you earlier on, when you're setting your goals, there's a question you ask. Why is this goal so important to me? Why is it so important for me to achieve this goal? That gives you purpose. That's that big why. And really, it starts to help you gain this concept of finding and fulfilling one's purpose in life. When you're actually going forward and you're starting to do things with purpose, it gives you that meaning. And really, that's what you want. So you can see how the have and a winner is very different to the have of the victims and the workers that really are just looking for more time and more money. You can actually change that. And that's actually a dialect that you can actually do all the time. Now, the last thing that I want to go through is you could start to look at each one of those areas. You could look at the area of be, you could look at the area of do and have, and actually put focus into one of those areas. But just bearing in mind that if you put focus into the do area, you're going to start getting that attitude of becoming a worker. If you start putting focus into the area of have, you could put yourself into that place of being a victim. So it's so important to make sure that you've got a balance. And that's what we do within this framework of the Be Do Have model is we make sure that you're working in a balanced environment on each of those areas, but making sure that you know who you are, the Be, you've got the clarity of the goal so that you know those actions in the do, and the have, well, that's that desired lifestyle that you want to have. And by putting all of that into balance, what you're going to find is you'll wake up in the morning with more energy. You'll wake up in the morning with more purpose. So that is about the be, do, have framework that's going to help you to move forward in life. It's very simple. You can implement it from today. But the key is, are you going to implement it so that you can actually celebrate a lifestyle by design? Remember, the key to your best life starts with being, fuels with doing, and culminates in having. Implement this blueprint and watch your dreams become reality. Stay tuned for more inspiring content to help you create your ideal life on The Simple Truth with Stuart.